Hey, welcome back to another edition of Everything Football 62. I'm your host, Jonathan, that Big Tex Johnson. And what is the main thing that I say all the time at the end of my shows, even though I might have missed it and didn't say it this last show. Numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do, right? That's one of the things I say. And everybody knows about the whole GOAT thing that I say all the time. I was trying not to do this show, really trying not to do this show, because I wanted to see how these things was going to work out, what was going to happen, who was going to do what, and everything, and was just hoping for the best. And it never really didn't come out the way that I hoped for it to come out. It's funny because next month will be August, and I actually did a show last year before the season was to start up and everything about why they should, pay Dak Prescott and everything. And I called it, don't hate the player, hate the game, and that's just all about, don't get mad for these guys asking for the amount of money, because these are the owners. This is they started this. These quarterbacks getting thrown this exorbitant amount of money, and that's fine and whatnot. Only if the quarterback is actually worth something. Well, I just did something. I was thinking about it. I was trying not to do the show because this has been on my mind, and I said I'm gonna bring this up because, again, I don't think I've really heard anybody else really speak about this. So I'm gonna go ahead and speak about it and whatnot. And it goes into, I think, the mind of owners, but it also goes into the mind of a specific owner, Jerry Jones. Really goes into this guy's mind of what he really is thinking, or how he feels about certain things and whatnot. And I look at a player like Dak Prescott, reserved, well-spoken. He's a leader, likes to be a leader, no trouble with the kid. Everything is all good with my man. A model citizen since he came into the NFL. Can't take nothing away from him and whatnot at all. Good kid, everything. You know what I'm saying? And I think that's a problem. And I think that's a problem. It's the way, because he's not huffing and puffing in front of the news. He's not going on Twitter saying nothing. He's not going on Instagram. He's not going on Facebook Live. He's not talking to the press. A lot of stuff. And I know the kid this morning, I think he lost his brother here a couple of so months ago, earlier part of the summer and whatnot. Earlier part of the summer, a few months ago, around, probably back in March, April sometime, something to that effect. So the whole thing about the contract, he's not discussing that, not talking about that. He's not doing it. He got that Oinkos commercial, that Logan commercial. So Dak is doing fine. I know he's doing good and whatnot and stuff like that. But this is what bothered me. So I wasn't trying to do this show because it might look like it's a dig at Jones. And it's a dig at Jones. It really is. And Dallas is my team. Always has been my team. Always probably will be my team. But this is a dig at Jones for sure. And I looked some stuff up. And I was like, wow, that is crazy. But I've been knowing this, but I've just been holding it under my hat. Let's go back to 2006. Tony Romo, fresh kid out there and stuff like that. Did no starts in his first couple of years or whatever. So 2006, 10 games. They go 6-4. They get to the playoffs, I believe. And that's the game where he bobbles the snap and everything like that. And okay, fine. He goes 6-4. Like, he got a pretty good upside. Like, he's going to be a pretty good quarterback, right? He comes and plays and goes 7-1 before the bye week, before the bye, right? In week 8, I believe, right? So around October 29th. So we're halfway through the season, okay? So by that time, Romo has played from 06 to 07. By that time, Romo had played in 17 games. He played in 17 professional games. Okay, 17 of them. Which gave him a 12-5 record for his first 17 games. 12-5. Now, I'm like, while he was off for that week, Jerry Jones gave him a 6-year contract worth $67 million. That put him at $11.5 million per. Okay? He will also eventually, in a couple more years, get another extremely lucrative contract that put him in the echelon up there with Brady's, Rodgers, Mannings and all of them, even though he didn't even put up a resume like them guys. But this 11.5 in his first, I say this again, in his first 17 starts. First 17 starts. Now, Dak had 16 starts. Played 16 games. 13-3. I'll say this again. 13-3 as a rookie, if I'm not mistaken. Okay? So you have Dak with that record. Okay? And he, with that record. And then the next year they would go 9-7. They won their first game. So right then and there, he passed Romo in his first year. We go into the seventh year, so that would make him 14. That would make him 14 and 14-3. Okay. Now, that money that Romo made, 11.5 in 2007, that money for 17 games that he got is equivalent to $14 million today. You know how much money Dak made in 2009? I'm sorry, 2009. 2019 season, this past season, he made $2 million. That was his salary, $2 million. That's what he made, $2 million. Okay? Now, I'm like, wow. In other words, of a unrestricted free agent, Romo flaunting around doing what he did and whatnot, and you mean to sit up there and tell me that this guy, which is, like I said, Dak, same thing or whatever, and I'm using that because go forward all that time up to Dak's rookie year, and of course Romo got hurt, back, shoulder, whatever it was, I don't even remember anymore. And the reluctancy of Jerry Jones to say that Dak was his guy. It literally took him the whole season for him to say that Dak is my guy. And Romo with the little speech and everything like that, and this, that, and the other, felt compelled to do all the stuff that he did and what he said. I remember that. But I remember the reluctancy. And I remember talking to man, Rue, another Cowboys fan. Say, man, dude ain't trying to let that go. He's not trying to let that go. And let's do this real quick, because I don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but you guys know I'm numbers. So I did this. Y'all know Professor Tex does his thing. Tony Romo, first 4 years in the league, 38-17, 2 NFC East titles. Dak Prescott, first 4 years in the league, 40-24. Should have basically won 4 NFC East titles, but that's another story. Yeah. 1-2 he played 3 playoff games, 1-2 in the playoffs. It would take Romo his 4th year starting to finally get to a playoff win. Dak is just 1 win away of tying Romo in playoff wins. Just 1 win away from that. First 4 years, like I say, Tony Romo, 15,045 yards, 107 touchdowns, 55 picks. If I'm not mistaken there, if I got that right. Dak Prescott, let me see. Might have got that wrong there, but 1578, 15780 or something like that. I had to go take another quick gander at that of what Dak's what his yards are, but they are up there. But the point that I'm making is the fact that listen to the numbers. Look at the numbers. And the numbers, like I said, the numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. Yeah, 15,778 yards. 97 touchdowns. Romo got him on that in 36 picks. He's already won a playoff. He's already up on a playoff game win more than what Romo would take. Romo like 4 more years of 4 years after being a starter to finally 3 or 4 years to become a starter to win a playoff game. Right? Those are the numbers. Both of them had 2 NFC East titles, Pro Bowls, all that type of stuff. And by the time he started in his 17th game, Tony Romo was awarded a 6-year, $67 million contract. 6 years, $67 million contract. Dak Prescott was still playing off of $400,000 or $500,000 a year in this playing into his 17th game, going into his second year of full-time starting. Hasn't missed a game yet. Okay? He made $2 million last year. Now, wrap your head around that. And you tell me if something isn't wrong with that particular picture. Now, you tell me if somebody doesn't have some type of issue. They can talk about collective bargaining agreements and stuff like that or whatever's going on. But like I said, you throw all this stuff, these owners throwing stuff at the positions and whatnot, and stuff like it's out of control or whatever. Do I think Dak's supposed to get this? He's one of the top. Dak's a solid quarterback, real good quarterback and everything like that. He don't have the arm talent that Tony Romo had or whatever, but he's more of a leader, and I think he's just more polished and whatnot and can get it done. Plus, he has a running game. It's a little bit different. What you talking about with Zeke? Well, Zeke's one of the top 5 running backs, top 3, 4 running backs in the game, bar none. That's not where Dak sits at, but it's not about that. It's about what his value is. And if you don't think for 1 minute, Dak has not put that in and sit up there and figured that out, anybody in his camp has figured that out. Now, he probably didn't know anything about that in 2016 or 2017, but by the time he started in his third year, I guarantee he knew exactly what and why Romo got what he got. And then Romo was getting this amount of money by the time, because he wasn't going to say nothing until those games started winning. Well, he won. So by the time it hit the 2018 season and they won the playoff game and where his record was, that's when Dak started. That's when it's like, do something with this contract, because I have outplayed the guy that you put up there and the guy who didn't want to relinquish that throne, and then you didn't even want to really name me as a starter. It took you almost to the end of the year to finally say, well, that's our guy. Wrap your head around that, and you tell me it's nothing. Tell me it ain't nothing wrong with that picture. Tell me something is wrong with that picture. How is it that this guy goes 12-5 and ends up getting $11.5 million in 17 games? Dak does the same thing, and he makes $2 million this year in this economy, making that money, when the $11.5 million that he got, that Romo got then, is worth $14 million now. Now explain to me, how does that work? And explain to me something ain't up with Jerry Jones and how he feels about Dak. Because I honestly don't think he really believes in Dak. And I honestly think with the franchise tag and all of that, he wants this guy to fall flat on his ass and stumble or whatever, so he don't have to come up with that pocketbook with him. But you know, if that was Romo, he'd have paid him, because he paid Romo twice. How did this guy make $11.5 million in 17 starts? This other guy, 17, more accomplished, did more wins. And he made $2 million in 2019. Explain that one to me. And that's why I tell you, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. You know what I'm saying? All the time. Now you tell me if something wrong with Jerry Jones for that. I try not to even go into that, but come on. And then the way that Dak is carrying it, he ain't even saying nothing. He ain't making no noise. He's not making any noise. He going to take that 31.4 or whatever he's supposed to make and go ahead and do what he got to do. You see when his brother sit up his ass, know why I always hated the Cowboys. They doing that man wrong. But he ain't going to say nothing. Let whoever say something. He ain't saying nothing. But that right there, what I just pulled out, go look it up for yourself. Don't believe me? Check it out, as a great man once said. Don't believe me? Go check it out. Go see for yourself. Those numbers do not lie. Tony Romo made in his 17th game on a bye week around October 29th. Tony Romo signed a 6-year, $67 million contract, but ended up being $11.5 million in his 17th start in a 2-year span, sort of. 10, then played 7 games. Dak played all 16, 13-3. 1 game play, and then he made $2 million last year. You explain that one to me. All right? I'm going to say this again. There's no greatest of all time as long as time is still going on. And like I just said, numbers don't lie and get emotional. People do. Check the like. Anybody got anything to say? Put it down there in the comment section. We talk about it. All right? Y'all have a good one.